Well, for more on events in Syria, I'm joined in the studio by Middle East expert Adel Darwish. Adel, thank you very much for speaking to us this evening. Now, this attack seemed to take everyone by surprise. Just how significant is this advance on Kobane?
I think the significance is actually in two, look at it from two issues. One is it's a classic guerrilla warfare. That's how they have been doing it, the ISIL group. They actually spring from behind you, the suicide bomb, and that break a checkpoint or defense line. The second point is from a propaganda point of view, because this is really, they lost their propaganda battle in the last few setbacks. The second issue is the larger game in the area and the role of Turkey here. Here in the studio with Linda a couple of days ago, I was thinking, I was warning that Turkey might do something. Because it's not just that the loss of all the borders control that set back for ISIL, it's set back for the plans of the President Erdogan of Turkey and how he wants to play all the cards. So if the Kurds control all the borders and ISIL have no access through Turkey, then he loses one of the cards he's playing.
But Turkey has come out and denied that it had anything to do with knowing that the fighters would be crossing over the border from Turkish.
Well, they would say that, wouldn't they? But however, if they even genuinely don't know, that is question mark. How come that the presence of Turkish troops there and large intelligence presence they should have to protect at least their own civilians, as they claim, from these terrorists?
So Kobane obviously still matters to IS. Why is it so important? Is it strategic?
It is. If you see, if you look at the map and you see how it's actually a border crossing there, and it doesn't matter what Turkey says, they have bases, they have safe houses in Turkey, they have recruitment, and all the fighters go from England, go from various European countries, they go through Turkey, and it actually beggars belief if the Turkish intelligence don't know. So if they actually lost that. On the propaganda, which is a very important recruitment tool for them, all these kids around the Middle East and all these teenagers here who see this war as a video game, it's important propaganda for them, for ISIL to keep winning. And that was a mega setback for them, the loss of Kobane. And now the Kurdish troops are advancing towards their stronghold in Raqqa, the de facto capital.
Well, that's what we've been hearing about, that the Kurdish forces have been having some wins over IS and also cutting some supply routes, some key supply routes. Was this more of a reaction to that, or is it more that they're on the offensive and they're really looking to step up their actions?
I don't think they got enough sort of firepower and troops to be on the offensive. They can actually slow the advance by causing this kind of damage, because what they do, suicide bomb, there were only 4 or 5 cars actually went behind them. And that, again, we've been criticizing the Americans here, because if you see how the number of armory and the number of these white Toyota pickup cars, how come the American satellites actually watching the globe 24 hours a day cannot see them? So the Americans must play a more role in actually surveillance and see how the ISIL are actually moving around the ground. And secondly, the Kurds are very brave fighters. However, they do not have the equipment, they do not have enough manpower, and definitely not enough weapons. And we've been saying time and time again, they should be supplied with more weapons.
And we saw previously that airstrikes help the Kurdish fighters. Is there a need for more airstrikes?
I think you need more than airstrikes. You need very good intelligence, very good surveillance. You need good, concentrated, round-the-clock air attacks to actually not only destroy the stronghold of the ISIL, but at least to keep them hiding. Because the more they actually have spectacular attacks, the more they recruit young people here in this country and in Africa, in Asia, all over the world. There's at least some 80-odd countries now complaining that their people actually go there. So it's very important. And thirdly, we're still waiting for a strategy from President Obama and the White House. He seemed to be playing tactical moves there according to his allies in the region. But there's no coherent strategy how to defeat them on the ground.
Because this war's been going on for 4 years or so. We've seen some of the players change during that time. But is there an end game in this? Can any side win?
In civil wars, it's very difficult. Civil wars, either one side is triumphant, and then that leaves the other defeated side sort of boiling with anger and there'll be tomorrow's terrorists, or reach some kind of a settlement when both sides get very tired. But we need some kind of a world leadership. We need a political pressure on the Iraqi government, to allow supplies to the Kurds directly, number one. Number two, on the political games, to include the Sunni who are alienated from the Shia because they see the government's pro-Iran and suppressing them. So the political solution. The same thing happening in Syria. Either Syria is divided into 3 or 4 parts, or at least reach some agreement with the Assad regime via the Russians, via the Iranians, and say, okay, you'll be an interim president, you enter history as interim president, and then have a transition government and probably elected government. But again, with the relationship with, with Russia, is back to Cold War.
Because why won't the world act?
This is actually the $60 million question. I mean, it doesn't matter what we think of America. Without an American leadership in any coalition that actually makes a meaningful change, whether it's political, economical, or indeed military. We have seen that in the Gulf War. We have seen that in many crises before. We have seen that in the East European and the Balkan wars there. Without American leadership, the free world cannot move. And unfortunately, President Obama has a very good speech maker. He can make. If I have a court case, I would ask him to be my lawyer, but I won't give him my money to invest. So you need some kind of a leadership from America. Let's hope the new president and the new government in America would actually act.
Okay, Middle East expert Adel Darwish, thank you very much for giving us your insight.
Thank you.